It is time for Money Power Politics. Today we're talking tariffs and the effect they could be having on American carmaker Ford. The tariffs have already cost the company $1 billion. And the white-collar workforce is also expected to take a hit. A recent report by Morgan Stanley estimates a reduction of roughly 12% or 24,000 jobs at Ford. Ben White, my dear friend, chief economic correspondent for Politico and host of the Politico Money podcast, also a CNBC contributor. All right, Ben, Ford says the cuts are part of the company's $25 billion reorganization that was already being implemented. What do you make of all this?
Well, the tariffs certainly aren't helping. The steel and aluminum tariffs costing Ford around $1 billion in profits. The Chinese retaliatory tariffs are also a big problem for Ford and for other car companies. China is the biggest auto market now that U.S. companies want to sell cars into. If you've got 25% tariffs, retaliatory tariffs, it becomes a lot harder to sell your cars into China. That could ultimately lead to workforce reductions across the auto industry in the United States. It also means that, U.S. car companies that wanted to build cars in China are not going to do that, but they're not going to bring it back to the United States. That's Trump's big point. We're going to force companies to build in the U.S. They're just not going to build those cars. It's not a matter of building them in the U.S. because they can't do that and make a profit.
But we know automation was already happening. We know that, or could it be that people are, or not could it be, we know that people are buying new cars with less frequency. And it's not just Ford, Toyota, Nissan, Honda, they've all reported declining car sales.
Yeah.
So can we really point the layoffs on tariffs, or can some of it be people are buying less cars, less new cars?
This is a bigger story than just Trump and tariffs. It is a reorganization in the auto industry. People are certainly buying less passenger cars. They're buying SUVs, light trucks, much more so than they are, your old sedans. And there is much more automation.
Are optimizing.
And they're optimizing. So let's not put all the blame on Trump for what's happening in the auto industry and changes. But the fact remains that they are going to be less profitable. They're going to be less agile if these tariffs are in place and they're less able to sell into other markets, and if their inputs are more expensive. 25% on aluminum, 10% on steel. This is the stuff that people make cars out of. Costs are going up. Does that directly lead to immediate layoffs? Not necessarily, but it means less profitability, and you're not going to hire as many people if it costs you more to make cars.
Are tariffs the issue, or is short-termism the issue? Because you can put Ford aside. When you talk to Fortune 100 CEOs across the board, they're very positive on Trump policies, whether it's the tax cuts or deregulation. But they're living in a short-term world, just like President Trump is. They have got to come up with quarterly results. They've got Wall Street analysts to worry about. So even if deregulation helps them in the short term, they're not thinking about long-term problems because they don't have that luxury.
Yeah, that's true. And this is the larger question about should we focus on quarterly earnings so much? The big, Warren Buffett, Bloomberg, others who said we should move to, every 6 months.
CEOs don't want to.
Some CEOs don't want to because their bonuses are tied to the performance by quarter and the stock price and all of that. But short-termism is a problem. But one of the issues around Trump is not just the tariffs. It's the question of where does the trade war end? Where does the confrontation with China end? How, if you're a CEO, do you plan for the next quarter and the next year if you don't know what your costs are, if you don't know where you're going to be able to sell your product and what tariffs you're going to face? So they have a problem in terms of certainty. There is a lack of it. They love the tax cuts, love dereg.
They had a problem with uncertainty in the Obama administration. The regulatory overhang that they faced with Obama, they were unwilling to invest and spend because they didn't know what was coming.
Yes.
And while they might not know where the trade war is going to end, they did get some level of confidence with last week's, whatever you want to call NAFTA 2.0.
Yeah, no, there's no question. They got some of that. But, the idea that NAFTA was ever on the table, they didn't need to have that. It didn't need to be on the table. But let's be honest about it. Yes, the Obama administration was not hugely pro-business. There is more business confidence now. They like a lot of what you talked about, the tax cuts and the deregulation. But they want more than that. They want to know what trade policy is. That's the big overhang for a lot of companies right now. Things would be better than they are if we didn't have all of that. So some positives from Trump, but some real concern about the future.
We should always remind our audience, all that money that President Trump repatriated from corporate America, President Obama also wanted to do that. He was blocked.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.